This Saturday's main event is arguably the fight everyone's been waiting for. The rematch between Armans Striking and Islam Makhachev has fans buzzing, and for good reason. Nobody knows how it's going to play out. These two are arguably the best fighters in their division, and no one even comes close. We're likely about to witness the most competitive and skillful fight since Islam vs. Alex Volkanovski won. And the storyline writes itself. Arman has been chasing down Islam ever since their first fight, which also happened to be Arman's UFC debut. He's determined to prove two things on Saturday. First, that he can beat Islam, and second, that he can capture the UFC belt. For Islam, the goal isn't so much about beating Arman again, it's about securing his fourth title defense and breaking that current lightweight record of 3, held by Khabib, Charles, and Ben Henderson. Now, with all that being said, I think Islam Makhachev wins this fight, but I also think people are doing themselves a disservice if they haven't watched the first fight between Islam and Armans Striking. Today, I rewatched it earlier, and honestly, it impressed me how good Arman looked, especially considering he took the fight on short notice. In that fight, Armans Striking was his biggest weakness. He actually defended Islam's takedowns really well, even reversing a lot of positions against the cage and attempted his own takedowns. When Islam did manage to secure a takedown, Arman was always able to escape and reset in the open. The problem was that when they were just standing, Armans Striking just wasn't polished enough to capitalize on those moments. He couldn't land the kind of damage he needed to keep Islam on the back foot. There were moments, especially in the first and second round, where Islam had to work hard, sometimes shooting 3 or 4 times before he secured the takedown. But when he did, he controlled Arman well in those key moments. It's worth noting that the fight happened a long time ago, but it's still relevant to the rematch because it demonstrated that even a young, relative inexperienced Arman had the skills to compete with Islam in a way that most fighters couldn't. Armans Strikin's performance against Islam years ago is a big reason why many, including myself, see him as a real threat to Islam's reign. He comes a long way since then, and the idea that he can disturb Islam's dominance isn't just hype. That said, Islam has been nothing short of dominant. Early criticisms about his competition levels, like fighting Thiago Moises, Dan Hooker, and Bobby Green on short notice, faded quickly after he submitted Charles Oliveira to claim the title. Arman is no slouch though. His power was on full display when he knocked out Beneil Dariush, and he showed strong grappling too, even controlling Oliveira in their fight. But it's worth noting that when Islam fought Oliveira, he just didn't control him, he finished him. Islam also beat Alex Volkanovski twice, showing off his striking improvements with that nasty head kick finish in their rematch. And his gritty win over Dustin Poirier, capped with a late Darce choke, proved that he can handle wars when things get tough. Now, Arman's explosive style, strong wrestling, and solid submission defense makes him dangerous. His grappling exchange with Khamzat Chimaev just showed how good he is on the ground. But I think Islam's technical striking and ability to seemingly chain takedowns will be the difference here. Arman might have the moments, but Islam's control, precision, and submission threat sets him apart. However, Islam has been tested in wars against fighters like Poirier and Volkanovski, proving that he can endure tough battles and adapt under pressure. I think the grappling will largely cancel out, leading to a striking battle where Islam's technique and precision gives him the edge. While Arman is dangerous and can capitalize on explosive moments, I don't think he can improve enough to dethrone Islam, who I believe is the pound for pound best fighter in the sport right now. Because Islam Makhachev has a clear edge over Armans Striking when it comes to the striking, and it starts with his incredible defense. He barely gets hit, absorbing only 1.54 significant strikes per minute, which is ridiculously low for someone fighting at such a high level. His ability to control the distance, use his sharp head movement, and position himself perfectly makes it hard for his opponents to land clean shots. Arman's explosive high-pressure style works well against less disciplined fighters, but against someone as defensively sound as Islam, he'll struggle to connect. What really sets Islam apart is his counter-striking. He's patient and calculated, waiting for his opponents to make mistakes so he can capitalize. Arman's aggressive approach can leave openings, and Islam knows how to exploit them with his precision. His southpaw stance adds another level of difficulty for Arman, as Islam's left hand counters are both powerful and well timed. If Arman overextends or gets too wild, Islam will punish him with clean counters. Another big advantage is Islam's efficiency. He's incredibly accurate, landing nearly 60% of his strikes. This means he's not wasting energy or throwing unnecessary shots. Arman, on the other hand, relies on bursts of explosiveness, which can leave him vulnerable if those moments don't pay off. Over the course of the fight, Islam's calm, effective striking style gives him a big advantage in longer exchanges. Islam's got a great way of mixing things up. He doesn't stick just to 1 to 2 moves, he uses straight punches, kicks, and setups to keep his opponents guessing. That head kick finish against Alex Volkanovski in the rematch, perfect proof of how much his striking has improved. Arman, on the other hand, hasn't really shown that same ability to adapt or add layers to his stand-up game, and I think that's gonna be a big difference here. Islam's skill set and calmness under pressure should give him the edge in the striking department. Now, don't get me wrong, Armans Striking is a beast offensively, but his defense has some noticeable cracks that Islam Makhachev can take advantage of. Arman relies a lot on his athleticism and explosiveness to overwhelm his opponents, but that same aggression can leave him wide open. He tends to overcommit on his strikes, which makes him an easy target for counters. Against someone like Islam, who's a master at finding openings, that's a big problem. One of Arman's main defensive issues is that he doesn't always have a plan when he's backing up. Instead of circling or resetting his position, he often retreats in straight lines. That's a bad habit because it gives his opponents a clear path to follow up and land more shots. Islam is great at cutting angles and staying in the right position to capitalize on these moments. Another hole in Arman's defense is his lack of consistent head movement. Where he's pressing forward, he can also be too static, which means he's there to be hit. This has showed up in a few of his fights where he's taking clean shots while trying to close the distance. Against a guy like Islam, who's all about timing and precision, leaving your head in the same spot is asking to get countered. Arman's explosive style is also a double-edged sword. He puts everything into his attacks, but if those big moments don't land, he can always end up out of positions or off balance. That's where Islam thrives, staying composed and picking apart guys who overextend. Arman's defense is decent when he's dictating the pace, but against someone as calculated and efficient as Islam, those gaps could get exposed in a big way. When it comes to the wrestling, I think it might cancel out to some extent. Islam is a master at chaining takedowns and staying in control, but Arman is super scrappy and explosive in scrambles. He's proven against other top wrestlers that he can stuff takedowns or quickly turn the tables, making him tough to keep down. At the same time though, Islam's grappling IQ is on another level. He doesn't just rely on power or a big move, he's calculated and methodical, which could wear Arman down in extent of the grappling exchanges. Now, don't get me wrong, I see moments where Arman might have some success, especially early, using his explosiveness to defend or even score a takedown of his own. But as the fight progresses, I think Islam's ability to chain attack and control positions will start to shine. It won't be easy though, and I wouldn't be surprised if they spend more time striking simply because they both respect each other's grappling so much. It's one of those matchups where the wrestling is there, but the striking might not end up being the deciding factor. And look man, if Armans Striking wants to beat Islam Makhachev, he's got to come in with a smart game plan. Armans Striking could have a lot of success with his kicks against Islam Makhachev, and there's a few reasons why. First, his kicks are fast and powerful, which makes them hard to predict, even for someone as sharp as Islam. A well-placed leg or body kick could mess with Islam's rhythm, forcing him to reset and giving Arman a chance to either engage or create space. Body kicks in particular could be a big weapon. Islam's grappling heavy style sometimes leaves his midsection open, and attacks the body could slow him down and take some power out of his takedowns. Kicks can also set up scrambles. Even if Islam catches one, Arman's ability to stay explosive and create chaos in transitions could turn into his favor. Another advantage is that kick can help Arman's manage the distance. Front kicks, teeps, or side kicks can help Islam at bay and make it harder for him to close the gap for clinches or takedown attempts. Leg kicks, on the other hand, could slow down Islam's movement and make his wrestling less effective. If Arman mixes up his kicks, targets the legs, body, and maybe even throwing in the occasional head kick, he could keep Islam guessing, forcing him to stay defensive and create openings for strikes or grappling exchanges. With all that being said, I still think this is going to be a super close fight no matter what. Both of these guys are elite, and it's hard to see either one completely running away with it. That said, I've got to put my money on Islam. I honestly believe he's the best pound for pound fighter alive right now. Sure, he has some tough fights in the lightweight division, but let's be real. This is the most stacked division in the UFC. Everyone at the top is a killer, so struggles are inevitable. I think Islam edges this one out, probably with a unanimous decision or even a split decision. I don't see either guy dominating, but I do think Islam's experience, composure, and technical edge will carry him through the tougher moments. And honestly, this has the potential to be fight of the year. I'm talking insane back and forth rounds with both guys having their moments. It's gonna be one of those fights where you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. And hopefully this video ages well, but I guess time will tell. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.